All right, we're back. So today's workout, we'll go over, just like we have with the other ones, we'll talk about some variations that you guys can choose, some equipment options, and I'm gonna continue to reiterate, it's probably gonna be valuable for you to either create or invest in some form of additional equipment that you can use at home, even if it's just something really inexpensive like some of these bands, or taking milk jugs or laundry soap or any other plastic jug that has a sturdy handle, filling that with either water or sand or gravel or dirt, whatever you have available, capping that lid and taping that cap on there really, really securely. It's just gonna open up a lot of stuff that we can do, especially when we talk about upper body pulling and lower body pulling movements. It's pretty easy to get a lot of pushing movements in without any extra equipment, as far as, think push-ups and those sort of things, squats, those are would be pushing movements for your upper and lower body. It's a little bit more challenging for lower body and upper body pulling, things like deadlifts like we have today, rows, that sort of thing. So I'm gonna call on you to try and be creative with some of this stuff, and we'll talk about ways that you can adjust that. But stick with what you're doing. If you absolutely have no resources to use for some of these movements, do the best you can, either omit them or try and be creative, and you can do just a body weight hip hinge, that's fine. That'll at least get you moving in a posterior chain, a pulling motion. So there's some different things you can do. And if you're a little stuck, please reach out and ask. So today's workout, our prep portion, 3 to 4 sets. We have 1 minute of jumping jacks. So do some jumping jacks. Hopefully you all know how to do them. The next movement is 10 reps of a side plank with rotation, and the last movement is 30 reps of frog pumps. So that side plank with rotation, we're gonna be on our elbow, driving up into that side plank. We're lifting the hips up, and from here, I'm gonna reach down and under, and I'm gonna rotate my chest toward the floor and rotate back up. I wanna see these be nice and smooth and controlled, just like I just demonstrated, right? You're turning your chest down towards the floor and then turning back up and opening your chest back into that side plank position. You have 10 reps on each side. Your frog pump, this might be a little bit difficult to see just with a video here, but again, I'm shooting these myself, and so it's a little bit hard without a camera crew. But with your frog pump, it's gonna be similar to a glute bridge. The difference is, instead of your feet being planted flat on the floor, the soles of your feet are together, okay? So your knees are gonna be out, soles of your feet together, and then after that, it's basically the same movement as a glute bridge would be. So I'm gonna get into this kind of butterfly type position, or like a position that we would do sit-ups in. Lay back, brace through my belly, right? And I'm driving the hips up. So I'm pushing through the sides of my feet, right, on the floor. So the soles of my feet are together, the sides of my feet are in contact with the floor, and I'm driving up, squeezing my butt, okay? 30 reps there. We're going through that 3 to 4 times. Again, make these sort of adjustments as needed in terms of how, whether you do 3 sets or 4 sets, and how you adjust some of the actual workout portion to fit your schedule, your time, and your needs, right? The important part is checking this box, getting it done every day, okay? Going through some movement. If you're a little run down and sore, just lower the pace on this and move through it, right? You'll feel better if you do this on a regular basis. So our sweat portion today, as it's written, is 8 sets at a grind effort. So that's your 7 to 8 RPE. Remember, that's a 7 or 8 out of 10. So pretty challenging effort, but not maximal, right? You shouldn't be dying and falling, losing reps or anything on this, okay? So first movement we have lateral lunges. We're gonna go 8 reps on each side. The difference with this is I want you to do all of them at once. We're not alternating, okay? So we'll start with 8 reps of lateral lunges, and we'll go to the left side. So I want that nice wide stance, okay? Wider than you think you need to go for your lateral lunge. And we're gonna sink down toward one side and back up. And we're gonna go right back to that same side and up, okay? As I'm doing these, I tend to personally get a little bit more loosened up as I do more, as I'm warm performing them, so my position gets better and better as I go. What I want to avoid is letting the foot that's down, letting that heel lift, okay, or dropping my torso really far forward, okay? I want to think about staying upright in what would be similar to a squat position, right? If you're a little bit limited and you can't get as low as you normally do in a squat, that's fine. Work on the depth so long as your squatting foot is flat on the floor, your chest is upright. If you're pretty good and pretty competent with these, grab a dumbbell in a goblet position or a kettlebell, okay, or in a rack position, okay, unilateral. Again, you can load this up if you're competent and you have access to those things. So dumbbells or kettlebells, either goblet position or front rack position is absolutely fine. If you have one kettlebell and you want to do unilateral loading, so maybe you're doing your lateral lunge to the left and you hold the weight in your left hand. When you do your lunges on your right, you hold the weight in your right hand. Okay, a bunch of different options here for you to play with, guys. Be creative. Use this time to connect with how you move and understand that while there's importance in structure and creating a plan, there's also importance in ownership and being able to relate to how your body moves, what works best for you, okay, and what you're able to do. So feel free to throw those ones in there. The next movement we have is 16 deadlifts. So this is where it might get a little tricky. If you have access to dumbbells or kettlebells, whatever hinge deadlift movement you prefer. So sumo stance, right? I'll just grab these dumbbells for now. I can go into a sumo stance where I'm going to take a wider stance and the dumbbells or kettlebells are between my legs, okay? Still a good hinge position. As I hinge back, my back stays flat, driving through the heels, squeeze my butt at the top. I can go in a position where they're outside of my legs. Same thing applies. Nice hinge position, boom, right? We're getting our deadlifts in. If you have access to just maybe some exercise bands, you can absolutely do the same movement here too. Find a tension that works for you. Standing on that band, get into a good deadlift position, right? And the same rules apply, okay? Hinging those hips back, back remains flat, squeeze your butt at the top. If you don't have any of this stuff, I'm gonna again reiterate, create your own elements that you can use during this time. I've mentioned the plastic jugs with sturdy handles many times in many workouts. Fill them up, tape them up, get creative with it. You can fill them with water, sand, gravel, a mixture of those things. You can also use things like a backpack or a duffel bag. A duffel bag is actually pretty great for deadlifts, especially if it has handles on the end, right? So you can treat it like a sandbag. Fill it full of a bunch of stuff, grab those handles, boom. Even if it's not super heavy, guys, it's at least a little bit of an external load to get you pulling with your posterior chain, which I mentioned at the start of this video is tough to do without some sort of external element, whether it's a band or a weight or a bag, right? So pull those things aside, have them set up, utilize them in your workouts, because I'm gonna include some pulling stuff in here, and you're gonna have to be a little bit creative if you don't have access to a home gym, all right? As always, let us know if you have questions about any of these things. The last movement you have is 1 minute in a reverse tall plank. So we're just gonna get into that tall plank position, but my belly is up instead of down, right? So I'm still squeezing my butt, okay, driving the hips up. I wanna create a nice flat line from my neck down to my heels, okay? We're holding that for 1 minute. Some adjustments there, you could turn this into a tabletop where I'm just bent at the knees, okay, and I'm holding the position here. I could drop down onto my elbows, okay, if that bothers, my wrist or shoulder being extended at the arm. So there's some different variations there for that last isometric hold. After all that's done, I'm gonna continue to hammer home the importance of actually doing the 5-minute breathe portion. Today we have 5 minutes in a child's pose, eyes closed, deep breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Center that breathing around the diaphragm, around your belly, okay? So we want that expansion in the lower portion of your torso. Okay, your child's pose position, for any of you that are unfamiliar, in that kneeling position, knees spread, and I'm gonna reach my hands out Okay, hopefully I'm not showing off my butt crack here on TV or whatever this is. And I'm gonna extend my hands out in front of me, let my head relax, and breathe. All right, and I'm spending 5 minutes there. Okay, adjust that position if you have maybe some janky shoulders and being extended like that is gonna bother you a lot. You can always pull those arms in and have a bent knee position and lower the head. Remember, this is as much about just taking some time, taking a few minutes every day to focus on some breathing mechanics, to reduce stress a little bit, and to have a moment of silence with yourself and a little bit of moment of peace. So please continue to do those things, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone.